Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Java Classified. In previous video section, I have shown you how to write the consumers in the Spring Boot and configure the Kafka using Java Spring Boot property file. In that video, I was shown you to read the simple messages as well as JSON messages. In this video, I will create a Spring Boot application. In this Spring Boot application, we will create a Kafka listener and configure the Kafka using JavaBeans and will consume the simple messages and print that messages in the console. So let's go to our Chrome browser for creating a new Spring Boot application. So I have already opened the Chrome browser. In the Chrome browser, let's search Spring Initializer. By using Spring Initializer, we will create a new project. So here we have selecting the project as a Maven and language as a Java. Selecting the Spring Boot version 3.5.0 snapshot. Here we are going to define group Java beans dot consumer dot sb. Here we are going to define sb read simple message. Copying this project name and removing the demo and adding that project name. Here we are also going to remove all those things, only adding the group name in the package section. Selecting package as a jar and Java version as a 21. Let's go to add dependencies section. In the add dependencies section, we need to add our dependent dependencies. So here going to checking Kafka dependencies. So I'm going to add first one Spring for Apache Kafka. In this video, I will only create a consumer, so that's why I'm selecting the only one dependencies Apache Kafka. If you want to see added dependencies, so you can click explore button. In when you will click the explore button, you will see all the added dependencies in the dependencies section. You can see here. Now let's go to close this one and click the generate button. Once you click the generate button, the projects will be downloaded. So I'm going to down downloads downloads folder where our projects is downloaded. Opening this project, copying this one in our working directory. So I'm going to interview programs, that is I have already created. In this folder I have already added previous projects. So here I'm going to pasting the new created projects and going to IntelliJ. This project's information I will provide in the description. By using description, you can download the download these projects and import in the IntelliJ and run it in your local system. So I'm going to IntelliJ. Here let's see new added projects. Now it is visible here. So going to pom.xml file, right click here and add as a Maven projects. Go to add as a Maven, that is already added. So let's go to add reload. So it can download all the added dependencies jar. Yeah, now it is downloaded. Go to our property file and changing application dot property to YAML, because I'm very comfortable to write YAML file. Changing this as a YAML, click refactor. Now let's add the Spring Boot application name. So here going to define Spring colon application colon name. In here we will copying this project name, adding in here, removing the above one. Now adding Spring Kafka Consumer consumer. In the consumer section, we need to add our bootstrap server information and bootstrap server information. So going to define bootstrap servers localhost 9092 because our Kafka will run in our localhost 9092 port. So that's why I have added and also define the group ID as well. Group ID defining SV message group SB message group. Now let's define key deserializer. Key deserializer in here adding org.apache dot kafka dot common dot serialization serialization dot string deserialization deserializer also define value deserializer deserializer in here let's define same thing apache kafka dot common dot serialization dot string deserialization or deserializing the simple messages. Now that is fine. Let's run this application so that all the red type text will be removed. So going to click run button here. Let's wait until it is not parsed and run. It is not going Apache Kafka. I think we have missed something. It is stopped. Application YAML. Okay, here. Okay, that is fine. Now it is looking good. You can see here. Let's go to in our Java project package file. Here defining a new package dot config. In this we are going to define Kafka configuration. So defining a class Kafka config. In this section, we are going to add Kafka related things. Let's rename it as a Kafka Consumer config. Consumer config. Add the dependencies as a enable Kafka and add as a configuration so that is Spring IOC can inject this class. in the IOC. I'm going to add private string bootstrap server. Bootstrap server. Defining here at the rate value annotation. In here we are going to define dollar and Spring Kafka dot consumer consumer dot bootstrap servers. Now let's that is fine. Now let's also add the group ID as well. Group ID. Adding at the rate value annotation for reading the data from the property. So here is Spring Kafka dot consumer dot group ID. Group ID. Now let's create the Spring Boot config file. Public map string dot object comma object consumer map consumer config map. Let's in this section we are going to define map key and value string comma object map equal to new hash map adding map dot put consumer config dot bootstrap server config. In the config we are going to define bootstrap server. Now let's add map dot put in the in this section we are going to define config group id config. Here define adding the group id as well. Now we are going to add map dot put consumer config dot key deserializer class. Here going to define deserializer class config string deserializer dot class. Now adding for key as well value as well consumer config dot value key key des key deserializer string deserializer dot class. Now return this one map add add annotation as a bean in this method. Now let's create consumer factory. In the consumer factory we are going to define the string comma string as well and defining consumer factory return new default consumer factory. In the default consumer factory we are going to add our created consumer config map add the rate win annotation in this method as well. Now let's define another method in here public concurrent 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 Kafka listener factory, adding string comma string in here, going to define Kafka listener factory as well. And in this section we are going to add our consumer factory. So here we are going to define the object string comma string and factory new concurrent has concurrent Kafka listener container factory. In this factory we need to add set consumer factory. So consumer factory, we are going to add our consumer factory which is created in the above, return as a factory in this section. Now let's add the bean annotation in this method as well, so that Spring IOC can inject this bean in the Spring Boot. Let's go to create a package as a consumer. Here we are going to create a consumer listener Kafka message consumer, going to add the rate service annotation. Here we need to define public void listener listener, defining here as a string or consumer record. In the consumer record we are going to define a string comma string comma, we can define as a string as well, no need to add anything. So here we are going to define a string printing this message in the console system.out.println Kafka messages. Add at the rate Kafka listener. In the Kafka listener, we need to define the topic name. So right now I have not added any topic in the Kafka properties. So going to add topic name as well, Spring Kafka Consumer comma topic. So in here going to Kafka adding topic. In the topic we are going to define test simple. Also adding the consumer group as well, so that it is concurrent factory container factory. In the container factory we are going to add this factory Kafka listener container factory. So here adding the group id. In the group id also reading this data from the Kafka topic in the property file Spring Kafka consumer dot group id. Now let's run the Kafka first one, then we will create a topic in the Kafka so that our application will run smoothly. So I'm going to C drive and checking the logs first. If in the log there is no log of the Kafka, so I'm going to Kafka folder. If you don't know how to set up the Kafka, so you can watch my previous video. I'm going to open CMD in here and checking the Java version first. Yeah, that is fine. Now let's run the zookeeper first one. So I'm going to win Windows zookeeper, adding the property of the zookeeper, entering it. Once the zookeeper is up, then we will run the Kafka as well. Let's open Offset Explorer as well for producing the messages so that where is Offset Explorer? Yeah, Offset Explorer. I'm going to opening it. Let's see our zookeeper is up or not. Yeah, zookeeper is up. So I'm going to open another CMD command and running the Kafka as well. So going to win Windows Kafka server start.byte. Now adding the server property as well, entering it. If you don't know how to set up the Kafka and how to create the topics by using CMD command and producing the messages as a CMD command, so you can watch my previous video section so that you will get better understanding of the Kafka. Once the zookeeper and Kafka is up, then yeah, now Kafka is up. So I'm going to Offset Explorer. Here I have already configured the Kafka configuration, so no need to add. You can watch my previous video for Offset Explorer how to configure. So I'm going to in the topic section, there is no topic, so I'm going to right click in the topic and clicking the create topic. In here we are defining the partition count 1 and replica count 1 because there is only one Kafka is running. If multiple broker are running, then we can define multiple partitions as well as replication factor. So I'm going to copying the Kafka topic name of the property file test simple and creating this topic name. Click add button. Yeah, now topic is created. You can check here. So I'm going to topic is created. Just change it byte array to string so that we can easily understand and produce the messages as well. Clicking the update button. Run it. There is no message available right now. Now let's run this application and check it is working or not. This project's information I will provide in the description. You can check in the description. Yeah. Now our application is up and connected to the Kafka. Connected to the Kafka. Let's produce our messages by using Offset Explorer and check that message is reading by our created Spring Boot application or not. So here let's click okay. Just click partitions, go to data section, click add single messages. Here go to add the key or I'm not going to add any key. Just here going to Add the messages. This is simple messages. Messages. Click add button and let's check our application. It is reading or not. That message is created and our application is also reading this message as well. You can see here. Now let's add another message as well in here. So let's click here. This message is appear in here. If you want to check the consumer's information, so just click in the consumer section. Once you will see the consumers by group name as SB message group. This group is defined in our application YAML file. You can see here this one. Just wait my yeah this one. This two property is not needed. Key deserializer and value deserializer when we are using Java configurations to configure the Kafka. Because I have already provided these information in the map.config map property you can see here. So no need to add these two property. So I have commented this one and again producing the another message for checking purpose. So here adding the key as a key 1 and adding this is second message. Click add button. Click yes. Let's go to our application. This is also read. This projects information I will provide in the description. You can check in the description. If you are facing any issue in the reading simple messages using Java based configuration, Java based Kafka configuration, then let me know. I will explain how to set up. Thank you for watching my video. If you like my video, you can subscribe my channel so that you will get further update. Thank you.